I will just take 10 minutes of your time to cover the part of the lecture uh, that couldn't be covered in our lecture number 27 on a small subsection. We had covered till this point. We have to now cover from this point OFDM block length. Now we have seen in the last lectures that actually the main concept of OFDM scheme is that it converts a multi-path channel into simpler parallel narrowband subchannels. But what is the cost? The cost is that you have to have a cyclic prefix, which we saw in the last lecture of length n. Now, this means that data would not only be NC, but it will be actually NC plus L. So this fraction L over NC plus L would be actually wasted of the total power, which actually this power is, you can say this ratio of this power is actually allocated to the cyclic prefix, this L length prefix which we studied in the last lecture. So how can we minimize this loss? So first thing is that we should have NC very large as compared to L, so that this ratio is smaller. The second thing is that we also know that NC length is also constrained, and this will be constrained by the coherence time, because we had in when we were solving OFDM, then we assume that the channel is almost constant. It is not changing for that period of time, which is called the coherence time. So we also have to make sure that NC is not larger than the coherence time. So we also know that for our underspread channel, coherence time is much larger than delay spread. As we saw in chapter 2, coherence time was of the range of uh, milliseconds, while delay spread was of the range of microseconds. So how can we constrain our NC? First thing, it has to be larger than TDW. All right. If you remember, we had solved this thing. L comes out to be tau W. So if I replace that tau by TD, I will get the delay spread. So NC has to be larger than this L, but it has to be much smaller than TCW, because that will correspond to the length for the coherence time, and it has to be less than the coherence time. So that I have also represented in my notes, and you can see here that yes, we know TC is much bigger than TD for underspread channels, but at the same time we want our NC to be much greater than TDW, corresponding to delay time, but it has to be less than, much less than the length corresponding to the coherence time. So these two conditions constrain the value of NC. You can also understand this constraint with the uh, uh, with the help of frequency domain representation. And we have seen earlier in the lectures that NC are the number of carriers. W was the total allocated bandwidth. So the inter-subcarrier subspacing will be equal to, or inter-subcarrier spacing will be equal to W over NC. So the interval between each different NC frequencies. Now we also know that Doppler spread is 1 over 40c. So we would like for this Doppler spread to be less than this spacing, so that it doesn't interfere with the the channel with the other subcarrier. So that I have also shown the notes here that so subcarriers are at W over NC spacing. There is total bandwidth. NC, are the number of subcarriers. So inter subcarrier frequency will be W over NC. But at the same time, we know Doppler square is 1 over 4TC. But we would require this spacing to be much larger than this square. So the spreading over will not spread the carrier of the other. So you can write this as W greater than NC over 4TC, or roughly, because order of 100, so NC over TC, or we can say that NC is constrained by TCW. So NC has to be less than the number of samples that can come in the coherence time. So another thing you can see, other than that you are losing your data, other thing is that you also require additional power due to cyclic prefix. And so one thing is that you put a 0, but abrupt transmission to 0 leads to harmonics, and they become difficult to filter out. Further, cyclic prefix can be used for timing and frequency application in wireless applications, and if you will not use them, and you will have to have a signal for timing. So there's another advantage of using cyclic prefix. Last thing is the frequency diversity. So 3.145 is the same situation. This way you have broken down your channel into parallel non-overlapping channels. So non-overlapping narrowband channel representation are given by that equation. Now, are they correlated? Are these coefficients correlated? That is a discussion which we want to have. Now we know that the coherence bandwidth is equal to 1 over 4 TD, or it could be 1 over 2 TD. Coherence bandwidth is corresponding to our chapter 2 was 1 over 2 TD. But delay spread, it can be written as L over W. So corresponding delay spread could be L over W. Hence coherence bandwidth comes out to be W over 2L. So W is the total bandwidth allocated, dividing it by 2L. This will give you the range of the bandwidth of which the frequencies are correlated. So number of carriers that would be highly correlated, that would be the total bandwidth divided by the coherence bandwidth, or the bandwidth with which it is correlated, and WC is the correlated bandwidth. So correlated bandwidth W over 2L is divided by W over NC, which is the subcarrier spacing. So if you divide the total correlated bandwidth by the spacing, so you will get those carriers that are correlated. Because you're dividing the coherence bandwidth or the correlated bandwidth by the carrier spacing. So it comes out to be NC over 2L. So these number of carriers will be highly correlated. So in order to take care These are highly correlated. So what we could do, we could use interleaving across subcarriers. We're using those subcarriers which are not in the correlating range. Hence, we would be again getting carrier across L different multipaths. So you will have a diversity gain of L. So with the appropriate frequency interleaving, that is, we will be placing every other symbol into those subcarriers which are uncorrelated with the other, and they will be independent. So we'll have L4 diversity gain, and this is called frequencies selective channel, and this diversity is for select frequency selective channels as due to selective channel, and that is what is called frequency diversity. So this ends the chapter part which we have not covered. So I will end the recording. Thank you very much. Bye.